In today's video, we're going to be discussing basic formations and shape in the 11v11 game. And so what we want to help our coaches and our players understand is the different formations that we might deploy at times and the roles and responsibilities of players in those formations. So if we look at our blue team today, counting from the back, obviously one goalkeeper, two center backs, two fullbacks or defenders at times, you may refer to them as, two center midfielders, two wingers, and two forwards. So this formation is a 1-4-4-2. Okay, what's nice about this formation is that it's generally well balanced across the field, and we have a couple of different ways that we could organize our players within it. Okay, mostly in modern soccer, starting with our two center backs, we're generally going to play side by side, and they're going to work together as a unit as the ball transfers on the field. Okay, more traditional, going back a few generations, we also had this setup where we had a stopper. This player was essentially a very defensive player that was able to mitigate risk and able to stop attacks, and really a blocker and a player that would get in there and try and win the ball back quickly. And then a sweeper who would sit behind the other three players and be there and available if the other team penetrated through. And so this player was very good at reading space and breaking up attacks if they managed to get through the stopper. Okay, but in most cases, we are going to play with two side by side. Our fullbacks here, they're going to be responsible for moving up and down the field, and generally their zone is going to be somewhere in here. Okay, we're typically going to ask them to play slightly higher and definitely wider outside of the 18-yard box. But if the ball is on this side, this far side defender or fullback will likely transfer in and be inside of the 18-yard box, almost coming towards the center. In general, we ask that these four players, as the ball transfers side to side, they're always working in unison, sliding across the field together and staying nice and tight together. Okay, as we go into the midfield here, we can look first at our two center midfielders. So some different ways that they might organize. Depending on the players you might have a player that's a little bit more defensive oriented and a little bit more attack oriented, and so they play like this. You might have players with similar skill sets, and so they play like this or side to side. Okay, our wingers, they're going to be responsible for joining the attack, but also supporting in defense. So again, if the ball was back here, okay, this winger is typically going to be asked to occupy this space. But as we go into attack, then they've got to get themselves nice and high up the field and be able to join into the attack. Okay. When we look at our forwards here, so if the ball is going to be transferred into them, again, depending on the skill sets of your players, a few different ways you can organize. They may play in tandem, side to side, and transferring to the ball side. So if it's here, that there's always one and they're working together like this. But oftentimes, you're going to have a player that's maybe a little bit more physical, able to hold up the ball better, that's going to play right on the other team's defense, and they're going to try and stretch our space as big as possible. And then the second forward is probably going to play in the gap of space or be responsible for making runs off of this player in order to get in. Okay, so again, this video is intended to show you basic 4-4-2 and some of the roles and responsibilities of it. Okay, last thing we'll share, when in possession, we want to encourage our team to maximize the space available to them, okay, and make the pitch as big as possible. When we've lost possession, again, we're going to encourage our team to squeeze in and get numbers around the ball. And we want to make the field as compact as possible, including our goalkeeper, okay, to give us the best opportunity to win the ball back.